I think if Doctor Who and Star Trek had a crossover, I think the Doctor would probably kill Spock on sight. And not for any good reason. I just think, like, he'll, like, say something snarky and the Doctor will just snap and have, like, a PTSD Time War moment and just fucking rip his spine out, like, proper, like, Doom guy. Like, the Doctor's just gonna go on one. Like, that's how he worked in the Time War. Like, he just went around fucking tore people apart. Just an absolute savage. Like, he's built different, the Doctor. And they called him the Doctor because he studied anatomy, right, of every living species ever. And he found out how to kill them all in the most efficient yet brutal way possible. Because he's fucked up. He's just done in the head, isn't he? And there's a reason why Everybody Lives at the end of The Doctor Dances, the upcoming episode, is so important. And it's because it's the first time he sat back and thought, what if I didn't brutally murder everyone in my path? Maybe, just maybe, I'd be a better man. And then later, they decided that the Doctor should commit genocides for fun. So I guess he just didn't learn his lesson. Wild, that. It's just me on the podcast now. In many ways, this is all it was ever going to be. Just me, sitting alone, and talking about Doctor Who. If you want to know more about Doctor Who, just ask me. I'm him, the Doctor. I'm not going to regenerate into me, not for quite some time, from your time stream. But that's the fun thing about time travel. It never quite lands you where you want to be, and I've arrived simply too early. The others can't know. If they did find out, they'd probably kill themselves, as an older version of myself might tell them. Funny I am. I like bananas still. In fact, I never stopped liking bananas. But these days I just eat the skins. Just the skins on their own. What would it be like to travel in time and space with just banana skins as company? That's what I asked to my newest companion. I call her Rose too. She's just Rose, but made of banana skins. Still played by Billie Piper, of course. That's to appeal to the fans. That was a banana pun. I still do those too, puns. Sometimes I need the Sonic to search the internet to find new ones, because I'm not very good at coming up with them on my own. And sometimes I travel back in time to slap myself when I don't like the puns I've said. Oi! And that's it, the Doctor's monologue. I hope you're ready for the episode. It might happen soon, when Sam's done shitting. 5-word summary, Sam!
Right, my 5-word summary. Oh, your 5-word summary.
I'll do mine first.
Sure.
Thieving vagrant queen weaponizes homophobia.
I can't beat that.
That's how she got rid of the man.
Mine
got the wire cutters.
Mine is Jack makes soldier question parentage.
So
that's good.
I put down a boring one first, but then I came up with a better one, which was underage pregnancy fixes London's problems.
Oh my
That's
god!
excellent.
I had the opposite. I had teen pregnancy causes all problems. Because that's an alternate take, kind of pre-conclusion for the two-parter. That's great. I love that we've met in the middle on that.
Touch tips, as it were.
Yeah. I've also got one that kind of crosses over with Matt's. I've got Captain Jack Harkness, canonical mummy.
I've got
Love that. Good.
Just this once, everybody lives.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good
I
one.
didn't even think to count it. That's very nice. I saw you write something down, but I thought you were quoting it. Oh, that's cool.
I like our general rule of the 5-word summaries are stupid.
Yeah.
But I also am willing to accept that one potentially. But let's
We've
wait
had
until the end.
serious
Have you
ones, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Hmm?
We have
Just,
had serious
Oh,
it's
I've
normally
only got
my
one
fault when it
5-word
goes
summary.
stupid.
Have you got one?
No, yeah, Jack makes soldier question
Oh,
parentage. That was the
sorry. I
only
thought
one.
you. I meant.
Oh
one
no
more.
no! This is
I still have
where
two.
I had
more.
only few. I was too transfixed by the quality.
I have epic doctor gaslights elderly patient. That's when he says that she might have forgotten regrowing her leg.
Oh, that was
forgotten.
excellent.
No, she might have forgotten losing her leg because there's a war.
There's a
on.
war on.
Are you sure you didn't forget?
Well, there is a war on. Is it possible you miscounted?
But the one that I wrote down in the first part that I realised made more sense for the second part is 5G causes the mummy virus. Because that's essentially what happens.
That's great too.
It evoked big corona conspiracy theories to me.
Hmm.
I was thinking when we were watching it about how, like, in World War II, were there people denying that the blitz was happening and, like, sitting in their house?
I imagine not. The bombers are kind of
I think
more.
And my reason for thinking there isn't is because people were struggling and they weren't complacent like we are now.
Yeah.
People weren't living in kind of an abjectly pretty good place in society and in time. So I think the complacency has led people to go fucking bonkers, and I think before that everyone was just trying to survive.
I mean, also the Germans actively bombing you. Like,
Yeah.
coronavirus, like, absolutely was happening, but to someone who is looking for a conspiracy theory, it will just look like some other disease.
Also,
right?
if you see footage of Hitler speaking, it's very clearly a fucking crazy person
Yes.
shouting at the top of his lungs at like a crazy, like, riled up mob.
It is quite mad.
It's
when
very
you-
How's America
easy,
going on
you know.
nowadays?
Yeah.
No, but like it's. I mean, have you seen videos of Hitler's speeches? Like that man
Yes.
is insane.
Yeah.
I've also seen footage of Trump's speeches.
Trump's
Also-
got a
also
different
unhinged.
feeling to it. Trump's got that effeminate quality.
He's
to
got
it.
that, like, he's so silly
He's
that
a
you
silly,
don't take him
goofy
seriously.
man, yeah.
Whereas Hitler's kind of like, he's so fucking crazy that you kind of are too scared not to take him
Is that
seriously.
just because he's speaking German, though?
It's
No,
because he's
no.
screaming.
It's the same
Because
when you
Trump
look-
doesn't
True.
like scream out his speeches. He just goes, "Oh yeah, taken many wounds." Did you see his speech about how he took many wounds? Funny
That's
as
what he
shit.
said.
That's before he got shot.
It was
This is
that when
unrelated
when
to
I
him
was
getting
born,
shot.
I came out perfectly dry.
He
no
said
goop.
that if you took his clothes off, you'd see a beautiful, beautiful person. But I have wounds. I've taken many wounds. And just the
that's
phrase
incredible.
"taken many wounds"
I've taken
is
many
wild.
wounds.
And then, like 2 weeks later, he got shot. Which
Oh
is
my
great
God.
because he actually has a wound now.
Just the one wound.
Hypothetically speaking, if you believe it was real.
Well, yeah, but let's not get into that in the podcast.
We were talking about conspiracy theories. I thought I might throw it
Oh,
out
I
there.
see. I understand. I was gonna say.
It's,
I remember
it's
hearing
more
that in the
plausible
days.
than most conspiracy theories.
Should we get on to back to Doctor Who?
Yeah, yeah, we should.
I think that the nanomachines tried to assassinate Trump.
I like that we get straight away that the nanites are shown to be linked to Jamie's mind.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Mm.
That's how we resolve the cliffhanger. It's nice.
It was actually a good cliffhanger resolution. It's what you said, and I said also.
I just think it's like the go to your room like line. It makes sense. I mean, we're talking about a reprogrammed zombie 4-year-old. He just tells it off, and it's like, all right, I'll fuck off then. Jesus.
Mhm.
And then they all fuck off. The fact that it remembers the hospital room where it kind of came back to life as its room.
Yeah, it's armor-clad room.
I
It's like a
wonder-
metal bolted door.
Yeah, you'd want it to be. To
That'd
be
be
fair.
fair looking at that. Yes.
I wonder though whether is that because he came back to life in that room, or is that because Nancy was already homeless when she had him, and he's not really known a home before then at all? Like, is it because it's all he remembers because he wasn't alive before he had that room, or is it because some of the residual brain bits are there, but he didn't have a room to recall in his like living childhood life? I don't know. I don't know if the timeline makes sense for them to
I
have been
think
homeless before or not.
I think his brain's just muddied by the fact that it was smashed to a pulp.
He
and
has
then-
got a caved-in skull,
and
though,
and
they
then
did
repaired
mention.
as is.
I mean, there's brain in there, but it's all.
But it is
mushed.
mal.
I mean,
mal-
they turned bone and skin into like black leather.
Oh, it's so
substance
fucking
somehow.
cool. Well, leather is skin.
That's true.
The metal, I don't know about that.
Mm.
I think that's
We
just
do
shiny.
got metal in our bones.
It's polished bone.
Leather.
We've got iron in our blood.
All the species in all the universe, and it had to come from a cow.
I
No
thought you were
way.
leaning
It
into
was
something.
set
Like,
up.
I thought you were leaning into. Oh, you're right. I thought you were leaning into like your Yorkshire accent there. All the species in all the universe.
That's
We'll
just
get
how I
there
speak
later.
in your head.
That is.
It's true.
I
You've
do
got
put
like
all of...
a Yorkshire filter for
I
sound.
do. I have a filter. It translates everything you say.
Speaking of stuff that's well set up, though, I did write down as one of my likes the Volcano Day
I
setup.
loved that so much. That was
Because
very good.
it's well set up as a recurring theme in this episode, but also the fact that they call back to it when they finally do visit Pompeii. Great.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really nice.
It would have been funny if Jack were there.
It
So-
would be better if Jack were there.
Mm.
But, it's fine. It's in a good episode otherwise.
I
anyway, so-
remember really liking the matte paintings of the hospital.
Yeah.
Everything was just sort of surreally spooky.
I
liked
like that the Doctor. This actually was in the last episode, but the Doctor and Jack's kind of like slow rivalry builds throughout the two,
it.
and of course this is the second part, so it kind of comes to a head in this episode. But one of the things that I noticed and didn't really realise until we got to the second part is Jack's got all of the suave, flashy technology, but his introduction is staring at Rose through like regular World War II era binoculars. Later on in the same episode, we see the Doctor using alien binoculars, while Jack is using his cool spaceship to scan for alien tech, and that's how they end up finding him. And it's just funny that like the Doctor does have the same like cool alien technology. It's just much lower key, and he likes to use cooler kind of tools as opposed to like flashy weapons. And
That
he
little
doesn't have a
argument they
warship.
had about the sonic screwdriver was
the
funny.
Doctor being embarrassed to say that it's a screwdriver because he's in a situation where he's in a big dick contest.
Yeah, it did strike me as this feels a bit later Who to me.
It does, but that's because it's Moffat. It's very much in his style.
It is Moff the Fat.
Another thing that comes up in that exact conversation that is reused later on, which I kind of like maybe, is that the weapon that Jack has is a sonic blaster. I remembered it as a squareness gun because that's what River Song calls hers when we see her next. Rose calls it a squareness gun when talking to Jack, which means that presumably way down the line, future Doctor tells the younger River Song that it's a squareness gun, kind of echoing Rose's words.
Oh, that's great.
And
I like
that's
that.
why River Song calls it a squareness gun, because
that's
they only appear with those two characters. River Song uses it in the Silence of the Library episodes, which is another nice isolated Moffat double bill. And I just think that's a nice way of tying these two episodes together, but also linking the Doctor's companions through each other is always quite cool.
God, wouldn't River Song would have been such a good character if she were only written very differently.
Yeah,
There's some really good stuff that comes from River Song's
I
character.
agree. There's just weird choices
I
made, but
think
that's
the very first time she appears is
oh, she's
great.
fantastic in that.
I also think the last episode she gets is really good.
I think I agree, but I don't remember that one as well. I remember liking it a lot, so I have
I think
to
it's a
assume
really
that I liked
nice
it.
bookend.
Was that
to
the
Was that the one
Husbands
with
of River Song?
Oh,
yeah.
is that the one with the Taskmaster guy in a giant red suit and
Greg
he's threatening to
Davies,
eat
yeah.
people?
I
that
don't
was-
remember that part, but
Yeah,
to be
that
fair,
is part
I
of
do
it.
like Greg Davies. so-
I dipped in occasionally with Later Who and asked what is happening and
No,
then
that's
jumped
it's
back out.
the nice bookend where River gets to meet Capaldi's Doctor, and they get the conclusion to the whole arc with River.
It's well written.
It's
I
a
quite like
good
that
end.
episode.
It's
Okay.
like you can ignore some of the stuff in the middle because the bookends are good.
Okay, that's actually
at the
good. I
time,
like that.
Like growing up and watching those seasons as they came out, I remember really disliking what they did with River after her introduction. And I don't remember much of the plot of that episode, but I remember really liking her character in that episode and thinking that the way they kind of like bridge the two versions was nice. It did bookend it nicely, as Sam said, but I just don't have the memory of the in between so well because I ignored those.
I think to go back to the episode and talk about a positive, I'm looking at my book for effect. There's nothing written here. I like how the mystery was actually delivered very well.
Yeah.
It was drip fed to you with enough details that you can understand what's going on a few seconds before the characters tell you what's going on.
There's
and there's no arse pull out of nowhere bullshit.
In the first episode, I said we have all of the material to technically see some of the things.
That's what I was saying
conclusion.
about being a good mystery.
But by halfway through this episode, I think you could guess all of it much more reasonably. Because it's really the fact that Jack's ship is a Chula ship as well.
That really helps tie
that
everything
cements
together.
it, I think.
The I really like the bit where Nancy owns that house owner guy.
Yeah, which is
And just, like,
which is her
tears him to
weaponising the
shit.
homophobia.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's also like quite a good scene.
It's not in that she's being homophobic. She's quite chill about it, but she's using it for her
She's
own
like-
gain because the guy's a dickhead, which is kind of fair.
And he's set up to be a dickhead in a good way.
He
He's
is,
like,
yeah.
He's
He's
in
a
the first
classic-
episode when he's complaining like he doesn't want his family to be safe from the bombs because he hasn't finished his meal.
and he's got too much food.
For rationing,
He's
yeah.
up against. He's a big fat British man shouting at a bunch of starving orphans when he's hoarding all the food like a fucker. He's so easily hateable for a character that gets
Yeah.
2 minutes of screen time.
I think he should have been hanged publicly on screen.
I don't know,
At the
I
end of
quite-
the episode. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I quite like that we don't see the conclusion to their argument either. We just catch up with Nancy completely free and with the wire cutters and the torch. I think that says a lot because presumably that means that
That
she
means-
also secured more food for her children.
And she got
Nice.
to use the loo.
And she got to use the lid.
It's a good way. It's a good way of having more stuff happen in the episode without bogging it down with more runtime, because you do have to fit it into 40 minutes.
And it really suits the character that was set up in the first episode, which is Nancy's incredibly resourceful, and the fact that we've seen that her schemes run efficiently and quite well, as with her as the ringleader. But her mentioning that she essentially stakes out the locations for a couple of weeks before choosing them, which we only hear in that argument, and that's how she has dirt on the guy, which is her last resort if they do get caught, is all so well done because you get introduced to this thing that is you could just miss it. You could go, she's resourceful and she sets up these nice banquets for the kids, sure. She does it when they're in the air raid.
Well,
great.
they
but
mention
her
in the-
staking it out is cool.
Well,
as
they
fuck.
mentioned in the previous episode they already set that up. They say, "Hey, this meat's probably from the black market," and then they just move on.
Yeah.
And you're like, little seeds all throughout. This really works as just one long story.
It does, yeah.
I
Very
just realised
excellent.
we committed a crime in our last episode.
What?
We didn't say 4 letters.
Oh, Common Murray Gold win.
Well, let us say it twice now.
Common Murray Gold win. Common Murray Gold win.
CMGW.
Just an extra one from Sam. For
Yeah,
effect.
very good.
That was like the little sandwich.
So,
Common Mechagodzilla win.
Fuck's sake.
the Doctor taking Jack's gun and swapping it with the banana.
Oh,
That was so
So
good.
fun.
I love
That's such a fun
the whole
moment.
anecdote of him blowing up the factory. That was delivered so well.
and also the fact that he did it completely separately from this occasion as well. It's one of those things where in with a different setup, it could be that the Doctor goes back and does it in the future, but it's implied that he's like, oh no, I went there once, and then Jack's like, yeah, unfortunately the factory blew up, and he's like I said, once. So good. And then the fact that he has a banana on him to then pick
From
fucking Jack.
from the orchard.
Yeah.
He says it's from the same place.
It's that is a level of silliness that you could say is a bit much,
it's fine.
but I think that the tongue-in-cheekness of it all, it just works too well for me to want to change
I think
that
it's
at all.
A-okay.
I really like it. I really like the sound design horror in this. I know I mentioned it as we were watching. But they, on 2 occasions, use the characters getting lost in dialogue and ignoring a background noise that ends up being the cause for the horror. It's the child using some technology to communicate. So the first time
being
it's,
in the room.
well, it's first he's not in the room yet.
Yeah.
The tape runs out, and in the 30 seconds it takes for the child to get to the room, he's saying I found you, I'm coming to get you.
I do love the idea.
And then he goes I'm here.
I do love the idea of the kid sprinting through the London street.
I think if he did sprint through the London streets, he'd have caught them. He frankly doesn't try very hard. He's walking about.
Well, he's a stupid orphan.
He's 4 years old.
No, he's not an orphan.
He's got the body of a 4-year-old.
He's a reverse orphan because he's dead.
I also liked the typewriter scene, because
Yeah, that was good.
that one's a bit weird. We hadn't had the kid hijack that kind of technology before, where it's like it requires to be manually pressed. There's not really anything that could pull it down, but it's magic. So
I assumed it was just the
Slamming
Chula
door.
the Chula.
He slammed the door,
the
and
Chula,
there's nothing that could push the door shut either. So you know.
and they say quite vaguely, this is a war ambulance, so it's meant to outfit them with war tech, and presumably
That's
Chula
why they get the
warriors are
super
just
strength as well.
and presumably they also get telekinesis,
Yeah.
messaging systems.
I mean, I don't see why not.
That typewriter scene is so good. Though.
The typewriter scene, like horror-wise, is so well done because it's also delivering you exposition at the same time, which is really clever.
And then like the yeah, and you
Because
don't.
it's pushing Nancy's motivation and her like goal to
Mhm.
go to this thing. She's also telling that older kid that he needs to look after the other kids because she doesn't expect to come back.
And then like her going on doing the whole mission by herself, trying to go back to it without the doctor or anything.
And she does pretty well.
Yeah.
Considering
it's
like there's a lot of soldiers there.
She doesn't even have the sonic screwdriver on the appropriate setting for barbed wire.
It's true. The barbed wire setting. That's
So
only
it's
for
like
barbed wire and
2000
not for regular
No,
wire.
Rose remembered the setting.
Yeah.
Rose also deciphered how to set the setting.
He might have showed her those settings before, but not which ones do which.
It would have been very funny
If Rose was like, it's okay, I know the barbed wire setting, it's 2,200 and something or other.
Oh god.
I think it's nice. I think it's a
I
funny
thought it was
after
very
your
funny.
fourth trip in the TARDIS, you get sat down in a solitary confinement room with a
With-
book that's
it's an
like,
enormous
it's like a huge compendium, and it's
Yeah.
just all the different numbers and settings on the sonic screwdriver and what they do.
That's what the doctor gives
And, like,
you
there's
before
the-
you're
you-
allowed into the dressing
But the
rooms, like
like
the wardrobe.
setting one is
You just
just
keep the same set of clothes unwashed until you
yeah,
learn.
until you've read all the
Well,
sonic
it's because the
settings.
washing machine functions only using the sonic screwdriver.
That's why the companions slowly get a bit older, and it's because the manual's getting bigger as the doctor adds more bullshit to the
Well,
sonic.
I was gonna say like, and it gets to like setting 5 million, and it's just
Graham
like,
was a young
Chibnall.
boy when
Chibnall.
Jodie Whittaker picked him up.
Chibnall's
He was a
solution.
young boy, and he
You
aged
wave
into
it
an
around
old
and it
man.
will just fix everything. That's the Chibnall way.
To be fair, that is a problem that slowly builds over Doctor
does,
Who.
yeah.
I don't think it was specifically a Chibnall
Yeah, but
thing.
Chibnall's particularly bad. For
He
it.
is.
Oh no,
That is also true.
definitely. But I think the way was paved.
The way was paved.
I would also describe the way Chibnall ends all stories as waving his hand around.
Chibnall could be described as leaving crumbs.
He could be described as he didn't eat. Man didn't eat. He just played with his food.
No, was he like a Starbucks executive? He just threw everything in the garbage.
He could
Yeah.
be
Only-
described as hovering slightly above the ground, ominously.
He licked the sugar off the donut and then gave it to you.
He did that to me when I saw him at a convention.
And then he said, "Fuck you, Sam."
You didn't tell him your name yet. He just knew.
He did, yeah.
That's yeah. And then he got into this weird blue box. Didn't see him after that.
Not
It was
until he
the recycling bin. It got taken out.
Oh, he can finally go back to his people in the trash.
A moment I liked in the episode was this is skipping towards the end. I love the moment where they prove to Jack that the Chula ambulance is full of nanogenes.
Oh, he's great.
And he has his "oh fuck" moment where he's like, "Oh shit, I fucked it bad."
No, but
Yeah,
I like that he
and the
actually
doctor
owns
having a
it.
go about it as
Yeah.
well to him, being like, "You've killed everybody."
I wrote something down about that particular scene. Is there's not a tear, but there's a little twinkle of moisture in Eccleston's eye in that scene, and because we've just come out of the first season of Russell T Davies coming back, I thought it was interesting because we had a lot of Ncuti Gatwa crying in those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna comment on whether that was a good or bad choice, but the way that they shot it, I think, was much more effective in this episode.
Well, no
It's-
wonder he cried if he was shot. That's
With the camera.
sorry.
They shoot it wide, where it's a conversation between two people, and the emotion comes through. And if you don't catch the kind of him slightly tearing up a little, you don't catch it. but the emotion's still in the voice and the rest of the performance. Whereas I think they, in the most recent series, have relied on cut to a close-up where a single tear can really clearly
the
artful
Hollywood tear,
which can really work. But they also did it about 8 times in the one season.
They did it too many times, yeah.
But I think if they were going to do it more times, this is a really effective way to show the emotion catching up to the Doctor mid kind of sentence. Because this is like, you know, as far as the stuff that the Doctor's seen this season, it's not the most emotional he's been either. That would be in Dalek.
The Earth is his shed, though.
It is his shed.
And Jack shat in his shed.
I just thought it was well done.
No, I agree. It was really, really well done.
I
thought all
think
the acting was
that
excellent.
the way they shot it, if they'd cut to a close-up of him looking more emotional and sad, it would have taken away from the immersion in the scene of the Doctor is emotional, and so it's just coming out and he's telling
there is
Jack
an
off.
overall positive of this entire season. It's just the relative subtlety.
Yeah,
very
I agree.
The Doctor working out what's going on and how to solve it after Nancy started breaking down in tears from them all going mummy.
And it's something about the fact that the way the editing works is it cuts to all of the people, it cuts to the Doctor like looking around, he's trying to figure out a way out of the situation, and then it keeps cutting between that and Nancy slowly getting more and more kind of hysterical about the whole thing, because for her it's fucking overwhelming that this is all that she thinks her fault, even though really it's Jack's fault.
Yeah.
It's okay, Volcano Day.
Yeah, that's true.
I love him.
I'm
so
sure
much.
Pompeii will have no lasting impact on the Doctor.
No, not at all.
Or his face.
Or his body.
Oh, fuck Stephen Moffat.
Oh, I think that's good. I think it's nice.
I actually don't know what came of that whole face debacle thing, but I don't like the precedent necessarily.
That's fair.
I'll see how I feel
That's
when we get to it
understandable.
in season 86.
I think I would have hated it, but I ended up being okay with it because of
Okay.
how it was delivered. But that's
I
a
didn't
good thing
mind
to
it.
bring up. This is the Everybody Lives episode.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's wonderful.
I thought it was fucking brilliant.
Everybody lives.
It was good. Because it's placed in a context for the Doctor where that's really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're getting near the end of the Time War season.
He's
so
not-
this is
he's
all
not-
very important for
He
his
didn't
arc.
do any murdering.
He murdered every single villain so far.
Well, the Dalek murdered itself. Apart from that, yes. I
He
agree.
told the Dalek to
No,
kill
he-
itself,
no,
and
he-
it did.
no,
I'm
he-
going to give that one
He
to
did.
Yeah, he
there
t-
was a gap. Rose was the one who did it, but Rose did it on the Doctor's advice.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
At best,
Lest
that's
we-
assisted suicide.
Lest we forget that in the long game, when he took Adam home, he pulled out a Glock and shot him dead.
I mean, he essentially left
Essentially.
Adam for dead in a world that will capture and experiment on him if anyone snaps their fingers.
I
in
like
the
to
actually,
hope that his mum
One
wouldn't
of the
do that to him.
Slickeen got away.
The Slickeen!
Several of the Slickeen potentially get away. I forget whether the ones in the Sarah Jane Adventures are specifically survivors from.
Oh, there are Slitheen? I thought it was
Yeah.
just a Blathereen.
There are both.
Oh my god.
And they meet the Slitheen first, which is why they are mistrustful of the Blathereen when they first meet them. So it's cool. But yeah, the Slitheen that are in Sarah Jane Adventures, I forget whether they escape the World War III thing or whether they came to Earth because of the World War III thing, as like a revenge plot for half their family getting killed. But it's relatively few of them that survive. And of course Blom.
Oh, I'm so fucking ready
We're
for
gonna see
Boomtown.
Blom
Jesus.
next episode.
So, sorry to talk about this in this recording for this episode, but I'm hyped for the next episode.
I've got a couple more likes that I've written down, but there's one overwhelming one that we'll probably talk about that I haven't written down.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ones that I have written down are really small, silly things. The red bicycle line,
Oh, yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
The Doctor implying that he got Rose a red bicycle when she was 12 for Christmas, when she accuses him of acting like Santa Claus. And it's just so deadpan, the delivery. And you pointed out, Sam, that he might not have done it yet.
He might go... When he does his, go and deliver it afterwards, because he could.
Yeah, I could really see that. I think
Rose
that'd
is
be really
asleep
funny.
in the TARDIS, and he's just like he's sneaking out the door with the. That could be the bring Eccleston back to shoot that.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. The other thing I've written down at the end, single bullet point for it, hyper vodka.
I love hyper vodka.
Just the off chance mention of hyper vodka is so funny to me.
Completely fair, Sam.
What would hyper vodka do to a man?
What vodka does but hyper?
Hyper.
Well, he had 4 hyper
He
vodkas.
did.
That's
He did
insane.
say that he woke up in bed with both of his executioners.
Oh, why were there 2?
They needed 2 to
One
hold
for
him
each
down.
ball.
Yeah.
I see.
One for his upper half and one for his lower
I
half.
see.
Apparently-
Executioner has a different context in the 45th century.
A lovely couple though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love everything about Jack.
Jack's fantastic.
I
in
love
this
his
episode.
computer, who's awful.
The
I
fact
love.
that he comes back and saves the day, and then is just like, "Fuck, I guess I'm dying then." Like him like asking the computer, "Is there any way like can I stand in a bath or something and survive the explosion?" The computer's like, "No."
No,
You're fucked.
100%. I also like how he just leaves the computer.
The idea that the computer hates him and is lying is
No,
possible.
No, I want that to
Oh,
be
you could
true.
have the ship show up in another episode.
Oh,
and
that'd
like,
be good.
Oh, I hope is Captain Jack with you? And like, I haven't seen him in years. And
If-
be like, oh, excellent.
What would be funny is if Rogue ends up using the ship, and the ship's just like, for fuck's sake, not again.
Is
That would
Rogue
be
like
good.
a character in the new stuff?
Rogue is the very clear. This is the character that's going to fill the Captain Jack kind of spot in the narrative.
I see.
He's different enough that I don't mind that at all. But that's very
Yeah.
clearly the intention, is that he's the kind of the not Doctor but
But as a
Doctor
much-
adjacent-y weird guy
I see.
with
And-
ship.
Much more of a love interest for the Doctor than
Yes.
Jack.
Oh, very good. I'm
He's
down for
he's
that.
written softer and less sleazy.
There we are.
Maybe for the purpose of getting an actor that's maybe a little less sleazy as well. If some of the allegations are to be
Oh,
believed.
there are allegations.
John Barrowman apparently just likes to expose himself to people on set. Like
That
he just
sounds-
likes flashing people as a joke.
That sounds
I
believable.
don't think I've heard anything beyond that. It seems like I don't know if it was meant to be like I'm trying to fuck people on the set, or if he's just a weird guy and thought he's a bit of a prankster. Really don't remember whether it was like how big of a deal it was.
He
Because
seems
he
like
came
that.
back in a more recent season. He came back in one of Jodie's seasons,
Mhm.
and I don't remember whether that was after these things came out or just
I
before.
don't know.
If it was after, I have to assume that it wasn't a big enough deal that the BBC were like, let's drop it.
I think it must have been before.
It must have been before. Because it was big enough news.
Yeah.
It was at the same time as there was a lot of stories about, what's his name who plays Mickey? Is it Noel Clark?
His name is Noel Smith.
I don't know.
No,
But
okay,
yeah,
I have
apparently
no
he
idea.
was just a dick.
Oh,
Just like in general.
that makes sense.
But that's a shame because Mickey's a cool character. But
that makes
you know,
sense. He is Mickey Smith. I'm kidding.
I can
I'm
like-
actually quite surprised.
I can like the character and not necessarily like the actor. That's fine.
We'd have some trouble with some characters in the show. I'd
I still
imagine.
like Doctor Who after it was written by Chris Chibnall.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
I think the thing that I've not
Are
mentioned.
we saying that the writers play the show during their tenure?
Yeah,
I guess they do.
they've just got their hands up the puppet of the BBC,
Oh god.
wiggling it about.
What an image!
Before we get to dislikes, I want to say one of the things I really like in this episode, and something I called out that I thought I might not like, is the episode's called The Doctor Dances, and I couldn't remember whether the Doctor dancing was actually like relevant to the plot in such a way that I'd want to keep it, or whether it was just something that sounded cool and Moffat wanted to throw in. It actually works as a through line through both episodes
It did
really
work,
well.
yeah.
Something about the way that it helps them explore Rose's flirtatious relationship with Jack and the Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps explain as an analogy Jack's sexuality and the fact that humanity, as a kind of a progressive expanding force, is
Well,
a
they
lot.
expand, alright.
Yeah, they expand. They love inflation. And they're a lot more interested in boning aliens than being racist. And I think in general that's a good message and probably accurate.
I agree.
I think we're more likely
What are
to
you on
fuck
about?
than
Nobody
to
on
kill.
this planet likes to fuck aliens or,
Or
monsters
or robots or
anthropomorphized animals.
or just actual animals, which is pretty fucked
Yeah,
to
that's
begin
quite
with.
fucked.
But you know they're out there. those people, and they are going to be the first on the fucking the green men when they come out of their little spaceship. That's the mission. The 3 Clomians, when we fail to get to Clom and end up back on Earth, we're just going to get railed for days.
We're going to absorb every star.
Tastes like star.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. I like also the Doctor remembering how to dance at the end when different music comes on, and that's apparently like he just needed a faster paced song. And
Not
then he
to
could
say,
dance.
Sam, that you don't like lower tempo stuff, but it was very you. It reminded me of you. You like your ska. Doctor also likes ska, as it seems.
He probably would.
Up tempo trumpet.
Yeah, I mean...
And to be fair, ska as like a movement is very Doctor.
It is very.
I can imagine the Doctor skanking.
That's the name of it, the Doctor Skanks.
The Doctor Skanks would be a way better title.
That's coming up.
If instead of putting on like just slightly higher tempo music, he just played ska and was just skanking it out and was like, "Look, Rose, I can dance!" And Rose is like,
Pick it up,
"What the fuck?"
pick it up.
It's clearly just footage of him dancing but sped up. Like, he can't move that quickly. It's very fast.
That would be great.
Oh, this two-parter was fucking excellent. I really liked it.
Speaking of excellent, what did we dislike?
The
whole episode, I have problems with
one
everything.
thing down, actually. Only one thing.
I have 2.
Okay. I think it would have been better if the nanogenes just got it from her revealing that she was the mum and being like, I am your mummy, because if it can read DNA and understand DNA,
And understand speech, which it does do.
I think that it.
why
The
couldn't it
purpose of
work out what the boy's meant to be like, and that the cow leather on the boy's face and the gas mask wasn't part of the boy?
I think that they're just stupid.
I
And
genuinely
also just
think that
wounded in the crash.
it's both, right? Because I think that the concept of it requires both the verbal association, because the verbal part of it, I don't think is what's triggering the genes.
No.
I think the verbal confirmation is to trigger what is left of Jamie in his mind, and that's
Right.
what the nanogenes are working with. They're
Okay.
working with his recognition, and because his recognition is affecting the genes, they scan her, and she and he have the similar enough DNA that they're like, they can figure out what parts of the boy are still the boy and fix those, which results in the mask no longer being flesh but being a gas mask again.
Yeah.
Evidently they can fix clothing and fabric as well.
Yep.
Because that mask was initially fabric, got transformed into skin and bone, and then got transformed back into leather again.
The Chula,
And metal
The
and
Chula are like
shit.
an alien ambulance sort of service thing.
They
and
gave
there
him
are-
telekinesis,
and there
I'm
is-
willing to let it
And there
slide.
is life out there which
Yeah.
is living plastic.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
therefore, boy, you can do whatever you want.
And also trees.
Yes, Cheem.
The forests of
Cheem.
Cheem. I don't know. I think the interpretation that the verbal confirmation does anything for the nanogenes might be the bit that's missing. Because to me, that was always her trying to appeal to what's left of Jamie's like fucked up, caved in brain.
I suppose.
Yeah.
And the Doctor even says up until like the point that they embrace, it's not working. There's not enough of him left. But evidently, the words and the embrace do trigger something, and then the genes start doing stuff, and then they scan the DNA. It's like the way that it seems to like flow in the scene. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or at
I
least
also
in my
think
interpretation.
there is an
it did.
implication, I suppose, that the Doctor is completely immune from all of this because he's not even human.
Here's a thing that I thought I almost put down as a dislike is the Doctor says that the nanogenes have become airborne, because they have now achieved enough of a critical mass in all of the people that there's enough of them that can spread through the air instead of touch. Sure, you could let that go, but the fact that they're airborne around the Chula ships, like maybe they're leaking out, and they're doing the same thing to everyone. I wondered why it seems to affect people at random, but it affects an older man first who's not had direct contact, and I have a feeling that the implication is that a person who's more aged and potentially more damaged, he might have like a fucked up liver from drinking.
A person who's more sick.
He might have
like the destroyed child.
He could have had like a tumour in him somewhere.
Probably.
And the more they have to fix you, the quicker you'll start to turn. So I like
like
the idea that maybe that's
great.
why it is.
But
And that's headcanon.
But that's
that,
okay.
That sorted out the dislike.
that's
in my
okay
head.
being
I'm
left
not worried about
unspoken
it.
as well, because it's not
Yeah.
strictly
It's
necessary.
not super important either. But I nearly wrote it down as a dislike. I had to think about it, and I thought, actually, I like the mystery and the implications. It made me think about a thing that I ended up thinking was cool. So, yeah, fuck it, I like it. Did you have another dislike?
No.
I've two. One of them is really silly. I don't like the super strength on the kid. I don't like him being able to punch through walls. They do a decent job of explaining why he should be able to punch through walls. The reason I don't like it isn't because it doesn't make sense. I think it's because it's a bit silly, and it removes the tension in that like pick up after the kind of cliffhanger bits. That like, and the fact that they used the squareness gun to escape him is good enough.
Yep.
If they showed that he was more competent than a 4-year-old should be, which they already have alluded to a lot because he is, and that being part of the military style programming that they will get because they are being programmed by a Chula warship, I'd be more okay with that. But the super strength I just felt was unnecessary. They didn't use it enough, and it didn't really do anything. It broke one wall.
Yeah, you could have got around that while still preserving the tension.
Yeah, and then like
having more clear rules to your opponent makes them a bit more. I think a bit more scary.
I just don't think. I think the scary part is, as we've discussed, the transformation sequences are horrifying. The scary part is that you'll become one of them. It's not that they'll punch you into a fucking splat on the wall.
I guess it comes into you can't get away from them quite as easily.
You can't get away from them in that scene. They squareness gun out of the wall, and then immediately a horde of zombies come from either side, and the kid punches through the wall. The wall is not a threat.
No, true.
They don't need that. The
like
corridor being filled is the threat. So
I like the sci-fi concept that, this problem will get worse. That's fine. So no, I agree. Maybe there's a middle ground somewhere in there.
I just think the super strength was unneeded. If it had a way of... we've seen it lock a door by pointing. If it can just unlock the door by pointing and come out of the doorway, that's still scary. That still poses a kind of an unstoppable force, in my mind.
Good point.
But without it
the
needing
door,
an actual punch.
No, I agree.
It seems a bit much for me.
I suppose, yeah.
Were we on dislikes or changes?
My only other one is I mentioned it a little bit in the last episode. It made me feel a little weird that the solution of this episode is to force motherhood on Nancy. I guess they kind of do make it seem like maybe that's what she wants. But I'm not sure if it's the fact that she had this son that she was treating as a little brother, and kind of raising, and he's dead, and she's sad because he's fucking dead, and that doesn't necessarily translate to she wants him to know that she's his mum, and it just feels like a bit forced on her.
Implication from her mothering all the other orphans that she. I think it's kind of...
They set her up as being quite a natural at it.
Yeah,
and maybe that being a calling
I think
for
it means
her.
that she might regret that she never got to do that with her own son.
That's fair. It's also...
I think it's kind of like what that leans into.
It's also the thing that the doctor says to her where he's like, you've lost somebody, you're taking care of these kids for a reason, it's because you lost someone who was it. But then that to me almost felt like that's more guilt. And maybe she, if he hadn't died, she still wouldn't have wanted to do that. And so is it that it's a second chance that's making her want to do it? Or is it that it's, like, this solves the situation, so I have to? I don't know. It felt a little bit off to me.
I think it could... I read it very much as, like, a second chance thing.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily change it, but I did put it down as...
I've only got one change.
It felt me a bit weird.
I get you. I think it's ultimately A-okay in the episodes.
I have one change that is just the super strength thing.
My only change is that the Sonic should be able to fix barbed wire in more episodes.
Yeah. And that setting should only work on barbed wire, because he says it's the setting for barbed wire, not razor wire, not unbarbed wire. If there's like one of those like chicken wire fences, he's fucked. There's nothing he can do.
This is like the ultimate fence man versus banister man.
It is!
thing that we've had.
The idea that there's like a threat that can be stopped by a chicken wire fence, but they've had to cut through the fence to get to the other side, and they're like, Doctor, use the Sonic! And he looks like dead face, like all the blood drains out of his, there's nothing I can do. And that's the cliffhanger for the next episode.
and then the next episode opens with them with the tome looking through the set.
I think the next episode is where you bring in River Song with her future more improved Sonic, and she's got a chicken wire set.
No. The master turns up and says, "Laser, who needs Sonic?"
He lasers the fence down, and the Doctor's like, "How did
It
that
makes
help?"
it
And he's
work.
like, "It didn't," and then he fucks off.
He just runs away.
He just John Sims away with his like skeletal laser blast jump that he does.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun
God,
when
I
we get
can't
to
wait.
that.
It's gonna be good fun.
Quotes.
Oh,
Go-
I do have one
Okay.
change. That's a going forward change, which
Yep.
is to reserve Everybody Lives for where it is best placed, which is where thematically in the overall story arc for the Doctor, he needs a win. Not that we can not have episodes where everybody lives, but the every time it happens there being a big like oomph impact for it doesn't work so much when it happens every fucking episode. It really works here because he's had so many kind of like half wins
Yeah.
and all losses.
For quotes though,
Yeah.
I've got when he's stressed he insults species, and I didn't catch the follow up. Did you catch it?
I
That
did,
was
but,
even
but
funnier.
Sam's got one first anyway.
Yeah.
Go to your room.
Go on.
Oh, okay.
Go on, man. Go.
They're really. Oh, okay.
All right. I will.
I
Did you catch the
did
follow-up?
have the follow up.
The follow up was very funny. It's like something
Um,
about him shaving.
Yeah, cuts himself shaving, does half an hour on species he's smarter than.
I fucking love that. I love that Rose has been living on the TARDIS enough to have heard, presumably from her room, the Doctor swearing and cussing out like Jawas,
I mean,
like in his room.
she's definitely exaggerating, but it makes you wonder, like, what is the reality? Like, how close is it to what is the
Probably
imagine
at least like a minute
It's like
worth.
fucking trees.
there's
What kind of books do they have on Cheam?
that's a quote we probably all have.
Yeah.
Bananas.
B
But
ba
but
na na.
What?
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, bananas are good. Absolutely.
I
That's-
like bananas. Bananas. Are
I've
good.
also got nature's way of keeping meat fresh, which is how the Doctor describes life.
Rose. I'm trying to resonate concrete.
Oh,
that was-
that's so
I didn't
good.
bother writing that down because I saw you do.
I also wrote
It's
it
so
down.
good.
Well, there is a war on. Is it possible you miscounted?
That was excellent.
I also like the Doctor popping out from at the top of the stairs and going, "Have you got a blaster?" To Jack. This is great.
You got a blaster.
You got a blaster?
Close the doors. Your ship's about to blow up. There'll be a draft.
I've got one of my favourite quotes of the whole episode. Yes, mummy.
Oh, that was so fucking funny.
To his like commanding officer.
Yes, mum.
Yes, mummy.
No, you meant that.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, I
was
think so.
transforming transforming into a gas mask man.
I agree.
Especially the bit where he vomited out a gas mask.
Yeah.
That was he faked it.
Yeah, he did. He actually swallowed a gas mask that afternoon.
I'm gonna throw out. Have you got any more?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it out there. This was an absolute banger. I think we can
Absolute
all agree.
banger.
Yeah.
Also,
Really
a
solid
thing for both
conclusion.
episodes, writing by Stephen Moffat, excellent, and direction by Jay Hoare,
James.
excellent.
I believe.
James Hawes.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think this is one of my favourite Moffat episodes.
It's really fucking
I mean,
good.
in Russell's run as showrunner, the Moffat episodes tend to stand out as very, very strong. So I'm looking forward to enjoying more of his ones before they start to wear on
Before
me.
the fucking in. Yes, I agree.
So, we each put forward a quote.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm thinking, Rose, I'm trying to resonate concrete.
that's so good.
I'm putting when he's stressed he insults species.
Yes, mummy.
I vote yes, mummy.
Yes, mummy.
Yes, mummy.
I was gonna vote for I'm trying to resonate concrete.
Yes, mummy.
They're both great though, but yes, mummy is fucking brilliant.
It's just so funny to me.
It's horrible hearing the word mummy said so many times because I hate that word with
You
a
don't like
burning.
mummy?
I hate it. It's awful.
Not even coming from like a little kid where it's maybe appropriate.
No, punt them.
Oh,
They should learn to drop the E. You're not a child anymore, brat.
he's 4. He's fallen a zombie. Give him
Is
some
it because
fucking
you use
peace.
it in the bedroom too much, mate?
I do constantly.
Yes, mummy.
That's why I voted for it. Have we got which 5-word summary?
Oh,
we're
I'm
picking
gonna have to pick one.
So mine is underage pregnancy fixes London's problems.
I love your alternate one of that, whichever of you said it, which was just the
Oh,
opposite.
mine was just the opposite.
I've got my only one, which is Jack makes soldier question parentage.
I've got so many, and I don't know which one. I'm not going to do the weaponizes homophobia one because I have a feeling that won't play as well in the description.
Perhaps.
So I think that would be a bad one to nominate. I like the 5G causes the mummy virus. I think I'm going to go with epic doctor gaslights elderly patient.
I do like that one. I must go for Sam's if I'm done
That's
for
fine.
one that isn't.
I think I like Sam's
Yeah.
also.
I'm gonna go for the epic doctor. But okay.
I like our system of voting. It's good. Excellent. Well, that was a banger. I can't wait to boom town.
I can't wait to boom all over this town.
We're actually gonna go to Boomtown to record our
What, the
episode.
festival?
Yeah, we're gonna go to Boomtown. We're gonna record it there.
And don't forget to share this episode with someone who skanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not someone who is a skank.
No, someone who skanks down hard.
If
like
a
the
doc-
best of them.
If a
Just
doctor
ska
tries
music.
to, if a doctor tries to listen to this, stop them.
Yeah.
I
They're
mean,
not allowed.
a bit late now, but like.
Tell them who their bloody mummy is and throw them out the window.
Somebody who knows how to pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.